You guys know about epigenetics? People love to talk about epigenetics when it comes to black people in slavery. Do y'all genuinely think that we the only ones with epigenetics? Like I said, I'm trying to babysit myself for real. Okay? Because y'all don't know that side of me. And I don't be trying to go over there. That also applies to how societies were founded. That also applies to the foundations of systems. Because as much as I am a God girl, I'm a science girl, I'm a history girl, I love information. And when I be looking at it, I see exactly who to blame. And it ain't the one who made me. The only thing I can blame him for is making us. I was reading Genesis and it said that the Lord felt bad. He felt sorrow when he looked at us. And I said, you know what? You should have swiped this out right there. You should have took us out with the dinosaurs. Hey, what's up, everyone? If you can hear the sound of my voice, that means that you are tuned into Almost Understood. Here, the goal is simply for you to know that while you may be one of a kind, what you are experiencing probably is not. My name is Jordan Alexa. I'm your girl, your sister, your friend, your cousin, your auntie, if I need to be. And I'm simply here to have a conversation with you. So let's talk, okay? If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining our little crew, our little family. And if you're back, hey, what's up? Thank you so much for coming back. Thank you. I appreciate you. I really do. How are y'all doing? There's a lot going on right now. And if I am honest, I don't even know if I'm doing okay, y'all. I don't even know if I'm okay. There is, like I said, there's so much going on. There's so much going on in the world, so much going on in my personal life, so much going on inside of here. And it's been. I want to talk a little bit about it today because I'm looking around and I'm observing, and it really seems to me like we might not be okay, y'all. And when I say we not okay, I don't mean like the fate of our existence. Well, I don't know, because they acting like the world is about to explode tomorrow. And part of me is like, if y'all gonna do it, just press the button. Sorry, don't press the button. Part of me is also like, Jesus, strap up them sandals and come on. But that wouldn't be right, because there's probably some people that still need to get it together, and that's fine. But can we get it together so we can go? I don't want you to just come get me. I want you to come get everybody. And that's not fair. So let me not say that. But anyways, looking around, it's a lot going on. Things are very chaotic right now. It seems like evil is afoot. Evil is afoot. There's evil everywhere, y'all. Everywhere you turn, every corner, evil, anger, upset, discontentment is everywhere. And it's getting to a point now where it's like what we're consuming every day is very vile. What we're consuming every day is very nasty. What we're consuming every day is it's not beneficial, you know? And I am a big proponent of staying informed. I am a big supporter of using your voice and being able to, because I believe that a voice, nothing happens without a voice, right? A voice is a compass of the times, like movements, things that have happened in history, they have not happened without a voice. So I do believe in speaking up and being the change you want to see and all those things. But at the same time, we are not well. Like, I don't know any other way to say it. We are not well. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with being informed. But the amount of stimuli, the amount of stuff that we are receiving all day, every day is sickening. Like literally, it's sickening. Like it's making us sick. And once again, I can't speak for y'all. I could just speak for me. No, I'm actually gonna speak for y'all because I be watching y'all. It's making us sick. It's not only making us sick physically, it's not only making us sick mentally, but it's making us sick with our interactions with each other. It's like everybody's on edge. When you go out into traffic, the people are driving crazy. I don't even drive like that. But the people are driving wild. They're driving nuts. Like stuff that used to be like a minor inconvenience in traffic, but oh, my bad. You used to wave and say, I'm sorry. It'd be like, just hitting the horn and cussing and I was just like, there's no way that we are genuinely this frustrated with each other, right? There's no way that we are genuine with strangers. There's no way that, you get online and you see people biting off the heads of individuals left and right just for having a simple opinion. And I'm not talking about the big stuff. I'm not talking about, politics or whatever. Somebody said, I don't like chocolate chip cookies. We are at the point now where people are like, you are the dumbest person on earth. You don't like chocolate chip cookies and you this and you that. And it's just like, what is happening to us as a people, right? So this means this is signaling to me that something is wrong with the state of being. Something is wrong with the way in which we are living, right? And so even if we just look at it on a grander scale, the thing that I want to talk about today is I want to talk about us. Because one thing about it, you can have your opinion, you can voice how you feel, you can, try to bring light to situations, but at the end of the day, you can only worry about yourself. You can only focus on yourself. And thus, you focusing on yourself and changing yourself and what it is that you have going on, prayerfully, you can be an example for the next person. I feel like everybody thinks they're Spider-Man. I feel like everybody thinks they're Batman. They're Superman. They're somebody who, with the click of a button on social media. No, this is just going to sound terrible. Everybody feels like their opinion matters so much. And it doesn't. There's nothing wrong with you having an opinion. There's nothing wrong with you saying how you feel. It's nothing wrong with you contributing your voice or your perspective to a conversation. But people are literally walking around with the weight of the world on their shoulders. I will include me in that group for a hot second. And I literally had to say, whoa, girl. You weren't even made to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. What are you doing? And so I feel like that's why we're walking around. We're so frustrated. We're so tense. We're so bent up. We're so just out of sorts because we're walking around carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, feeling like what we have to say is like the catalyst for, I don't know. I don't want to say change because, like I said, I do believe you can have a voice and whatever, but you don't matter. No, that's contrary to everything I be saying, but like seriously, what I'm getting at for the conversation today is there is a way that we need to be able to exist within society, not only society, within chaos, within, things becoming uncontrollable and, evil being everywhere. There's a way that we need to be able to exist and be able to contribute if necessary, but still focus on us, still take care of us. And so today I want to talk about the reality of being able to find calm within yourself in the midst of upheaval. Because what's happening now, the things that are happening now, it's not the first time. It probably won't be the last time. But the truth is, we just have much more access to it. And so I think because of the way that our brains have been trained with technology, all the things, whatever, we feel like we have to constantly consume or whatever. And it's just not true. We don't have to do that. And so today I just want to have a conversation about what it looks like to exist within the time that we live in today and not lose your mind. Because it's important that you keep your mind intact. It is important that you keep your soul intact. It is important that you keep your spirit intact. I don't think we're realizing how much we're chipping away at all of those things every single day when we constantly, looking at stuff and consuming whatever. There's no way for us to genuinely believe that if we are, consumed with, informed by chaos every single day, that chaos does not begin to ensue within us. There's no way. I know you guys have heard the saying, you are what you eat. Baby, that is true. You very much are what you eat, not only food-wise, but spiritually, mentally, what you're allowing into your body, into your soul, right? And so I think we have to learn how to navigate not only the times that we are living in, but also understanding what is taking place around us. If people understood, now I majored in mass communications in college. I studied it, right? Mass communications is a social science. And when something is a science, it's because it is a study of. So there are things that I understand about social media, about the news, about the way that, people go about things to communicate with the masses, that is actually intentionally done to stir up feelings inside of you, to make you feel some type of way, to make you react a certain type of way. One of those things being headlines. Now, this is just a sidebar. I literally had to study headlines when I was in school. And one of the things that they told us is they bank on people not reading. They bank on people not paying attention to what's actually in the article. They bank on people not actually taking the time to research and figure things out, right? So they shape the headlines based on how it is that they want for you to feel. Okay? If you simply consume that and take it and run with it, by golly, you have been swayed, stressed, all the things, right? So let's just say just that on a basic level. Imagine all the other things that are taking place behind the scenes to get you to behave in a certain manner. And I don't want to talk about this for too long, but it's true. It is a truth that there are people who are, their literal job is to figure out how to sway you in a certain direction, to figure out how to get you to exist in a certain mode of living, to control you, to control the masses, right? And the best thing you can do is, number one, understand that that is the truth, understand that that exists, and then number two, do everything in your bodily ability to not become that thing, to not be swayed, to not be I just see cows. Cows moving in one direction, to not be a part of the herd, to not be a part of the crowd that is choosing to not be educated, choosing to not, look things up for themselves, and thus are I'm trying to say stuff without saying too much, but I don't know. I don't know how far I'm gonna make it within this without saying some stuff. So we'll see. Let's just keep going. The things that are happening today have been happening always. And imagine that your only time hearing about it was looking at a newspaper. Or the only time hearing about it is when the news came on at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. And now we exist in a world where every time something happens, it comes straight to your hand, right? And so now our bodies have become accustomed to living in this state of urgency, living in this state of emergency, living in this state of being on edge. And I think I've said this here before, but scientists have said that our brains don't know the difference between something being real, something being actual, something being, whatever, and something being fake, something not even fake, something not being pressing. So that's why they say fake it till you make it, because if you believe in your brain enough that whatever it is that you're doing is real, your brain will start to make decisions that push you in that direction. So if we're living in this state of urgency and emergency all the time, the state in which your body is functioning is no longer safe, is no longer healthy. I don't think we realize how prevalent disease becomes after living a life of so much stress. That's like my mom. My mom had an illness that is triggered by stress. After being in remission, because her body did not know how to function outside of stress a certain way, it just kept attacking itself, and the disease kept coming back. And so I think that's why I'm so passionate about this, is because we have to learn how to live outside of it. We have to learn how to make it exist separate from us. And yes, things are happening that are affecting us. Yes, things are happening that are affecting groups that we're a part of. And I know that it is hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. So because I am not a silent Sally. I hate injustice. I genuinely hate it. And so I have been in a place of learning how to take the reaction, take the reality of what is happening and separate it from myself. Because there are two worlds that we exist in. It's this world that is outside of us, and boy, is it a circus. They just doing whatever the freak they want to do out there, and they just, okay? And then there's the world that we exist in within ourselves. And I've literally had to master this world first. I've literally had to become the one to keep this world intact before I can even possibly think about tending to the world out there. And I think that's what we're forgetting. We're forgetting that this one matters first. This earth matters first. This world matters first before we have the opportunity to do anything out there. Because even without tending to this first, by the time you start to do things out there, baby, it's wonky anyway. It ain't right anyway. Right now, I'm learning how to identify what is reactivity versus response. Because they are two different things. I think that a lot of people are angry, justifiably so. But I think that a lot of people are acting out of anger because that is the only emotion that they are able to properly identify with right now, right? So you may feel the need to do something. You may feel the need to say something. You may feel the need to lend your voice. But the way in which we are doing it, because we are not concerned with this right here, is just coming off as angry. It's just coming off as just as vile as everything else. It's just coming off as just as evil as everything else. And one thing that we know to be true is that you cannot fight evil with evil. You can't. You can't fight fire with fire. Just make a bigger fire. Everything's going to burn down. And so learning reactivity versus response. Reactivity is very, that living in urgency, that emergency, that is very quick. It's very harsh. It's very, right? And response is something that is, I don't even want to say calculated, but response is something that comes from an understood place. It is something that comes from, I don't even want to say healed, because there are things that I talk about now, and there are things that I deal with in my personal life that I personally, I ain't got no healing for. I might not have the most patience for, but because I have an understanding, my response is something that is still grounded, and is something that has more potential to land, if that makes any sense. And depending on the forum, depending on the situation, an idiot is an idiot. Okay? Depending on who you're talking to, a person living in ignorance and chooses to stay there, ignorance is their hobby. It just is what it is. But you cannot be affected by that. And I don't even say you can't be affected by that. You can't let that change you and what you got going on within yourself. You can very much be a truth bearer. You can very much be a conduit for change and knowledge and education without somebody else's mess getting onto you and affecting you too much. I hope I'm making sense. You cannot think clearly when you are living in reactivity. So y'all know I'm gonna only talk about me. I can't talk about anybody else. So there was a time way, way, way back in the day where a situation had happened with somebody, and I never dealt with what was happening as the process was, going on or whatever. Eventually the situation came to a head, and without saying too much, I reacted and blacked out, and I don't want to sound too crazy, but I'm trying to make a point. And I almost beat the person up, right? I don't know if you ever seen videos where like somebody's coming at somebody, whatever, and all of a sudden the other person, they may be being quiet and they snap. It's because that is a reaction, right? There's so much stuff happening at one time. Who knows what's going on with that brain? The brain may be cracked, and before you know it, you just react. In that situation, I don't even know how I could have handled that situation differently. Because part of me feels like it was justified still to this day. But if I was a little bit more healthy up here, it may have gone a little differently, right? Maybe we could have a conversation. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I feel like with everybody being so heightened right now, that's what I feel like is missing. There's a conversation piece that is unable to be had because the conversation is down here, but the reactivity is up here and it's hot. And everybody's just spitting fire at each other. What can we do to become the individuals to be able to start conversation down here? Not only does reactivity cause these jarring responses up here, but it also leads to habits that aren't necessarily the best, because when you're not reacting, you're running away. When you're not reacting, you're retreating. People become emotionally numb. People spending time, doom scrolling and continuing to consume this stuff, but in isolation itself, depression. When you live a life of reactivity, you exist. You're either super, 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 super hot, or you're super, 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 super cold waiting for the next hot moment, because you learn to identify with the emotion of a thing. You learn to identify with something jarring you to be able to move, do something, that's even like I was even talking about in my creative community the other day. I was saying that creatives, we just get so excited in the state of inspiration, because it's the most emotional point of the creative process. It's the most emotionally high point. And so you have a lot of people who, when they get an idea, they have an idea, they may start, like you may be a professional starter. You start something and then you get to work on it, you get discouraged, you stop it, and then you either abandon this project or you just start it all over again, right? And that's because we have conditioned ourselves to live lives that are emotionally high. That's why even people in their relationship with God, you feel like you didn't hear from him if you didn't cry. And by golly, the Lord be speaking. Every time the Lord be speaking to me, I'll be just like this. Because I had to learn that everything is not this super emotional experience. And that's what we have to learn. We have to learn how to not separate ourselves from our emotions, but learn how to navigate the emotion. Continue and to be consistent even when the emotion isn't high. And that's also a reason why I feel like we exist in the state that we exist now. We don't turn up until something happens. We don't get passionate until something happens. And I don't want to say everybody, because there are people who literally have noticed, who have gone in, who have infiltrated the system, seen what the issues are, and have chosen to take paths to be the people to change it, to, whatever. But as a whole, we have got to stop leaning on emotional highs, because emotional high doesn't warrant consistency. Emotional high doesn't warrant actual change. It just warrants whatever comes of that emotion. And that's it. And this applies to more than just what's happening societally. This applies to us as individuals. We have got to learn how to be persistent. We have got to learn the difference between moments and momentum. Oh my gosh, people, we love moments. We love moments. And it's across the board. I'm getting itchy because I'm getting irritated. It's not just, we see it in regular life. We see it in church. We see it in society. We see it in social circles. We love moments, but nobody is committed to and I'm sorry, not nobody, but we have to learn how to be committed to the momentum of a thing, to the rhythm of a thing. We have to learn how to not give up. We have to learn how to not quit. We have to learn how to not freaking, what's it called? Army crawl our way through stuff sometimes. The popping up when emotions are high and when things happen, it's just too much. It's literally too much. It's literally too much, y'all. I'm getting overwhelmed just thinking about it. But I think we'll be so much better if we would pay attention to the momentum of a thing, right? And we do that first by dealing with this. Why is this stuff triggering me? It's not that you can't be triggered, but why is it triggering me? I'm getting triggered because I don't like injustice. I'm getting triggered because, let's be honest, I'm getting triggered because, okay, something else happened with the police. I literally get triggered when I see police officers because I've never had a positive interaction with one. Ever. Right? And people get mad. Whatever. The police are good. Whatever. I understand. They are. I know. I have police officers in my family. I know police officers. They are good people, relatively. Some of them. My aunt was a police officer for years. I love her. She is a good person. She really is. She has a heart of gold. But I have never, when a police officer is in their uniform, and I have seen either how they're interacting with somebody else, somebody that I'm with, or me, it has never been positive. I had a police officer pull a gun out on me because I was holding a Zaxby's cup. Right? So when things happen with police in the media, it's doing this to me. It's doing this. And the first thing that I'll be ready to do, go off, say all types of stuff. See, and I have had to learn, okay, am I positively contributing to this conversation? Am I? Because I might not be. Right? What does that look like for me? That's like when everybody was protesting. They say, if you're not out there, you're not protesting. You're not. Guess who? I don't want to say cannot. Unless the protest is strictly peaceful. Could not go. Could not go. Want to know why? Because there have been times where, and I won't say too much, but there have been times where a police officer has done something and this cracked brain, because it was triggered, and I got ready. I don't want to say that. But my response was something that wouldn't have necessarily yielded a good outcome. Right? So what do? I'm having conversations. I'm giving to charities, giving donations. You know, that has to be my contribution. Everybody can't have the same contribution. That's another thing. Stop yelling at everybody, telling them to do what you're doing. There's more than one way to help. There is more than one way to push the boat forward. Okay? Everybody's so angry. Everybody is so angry. You're just yelling at, you're not doing this. You gotta get up. You gotta. I could say more. I've already said more than I planned on saying. I could say more, but y'all, we've really got to chill. We've got to calm down, y'all. But the things around us have put us in this survival mode. And I know that everybody really is trying to survive. Like me. What am I eating for dinner? I don't know. I don't know what I'm eating. Is there something in the freezer? Maybe, maybe not. But everybody is trying to survive. I understand. But we have gotten to this survival mode to where if it does not contribute to my survival, it is null and void. And I feel like the being able to tend to ourselves has become of that null and void category because we feel like we're slowing down. We won't rest. We won't take the time to check in with ourselves. We won't have conversations with ourselves. That's like I said on the last episode. We won't take the time to heal because healing really is a disgusting, it's a nasty process, right? But we have become null and void in our mode of survival. Tending to us has become unnecessary. When tending to us, it is priority. It really is the priority. It has to be. Because there's no way that you can function as I don't even say good member of society. There's no way that you can function as a stable member of society without first taking care of yourself. And I feel like we've become such interactors with robots and with technology that we have become very robotic ourselves. Numb and inconsiderate. Because a robot can't consider somebody else. A robot can't consider how somebody else is feeling. A robot cannot consider somebody else's point of view. They just can't. And that's where we are. And so I feel like I'm just doing a lot of rambling and I just need to get to the point. The question becomes, what does it look like for me to tend to myself? What does it look like for me to work on this world before even trying to do anything in the world around me? And I think the biggest thing that we are neglecting is the fact that we are literally spiritual beings in this physical body. And I would be lying if I did not first sit here and say that God is real. God is real. And I know some people feel like, if God is real, all this stuff would be going on, wouldn't be going on, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's so crazy to me how people like to take credit for good and then blame God for the bad. It's so strange to me. It's literally the strangest thing I've ever seen, when people are the ones making these sick decisions. And man, I'm really trying to babysit myself. People are the ones making these sick decisions. People are the ones doing the things in society that are evil. And I don't understand how people could continuously make godless decisions, have godless opinions, want to live godless lives, and then get mad when he's not involved. And then try to figure out where to stick him in to say that he's a part of it, when in actuality he's not. But that's besides the point. We are spiritual beings living in these physical bodies. A woman said, I saw in a comment section the other day, somebody said, pray. There's a lot of stuff going on, just pray. And a woman said, God isn't real, and if he is, he's not doing a very good job right now. Evil is the influence, man. Man. Evil is the influence, and it's contagious. And it's contagious as almost cuss. It's contagious as all get out. And honestly, it's so contagious that after a while, evil doesn't need to be the influence. It doesn't have to be the influence, because it becomes a learned behavior, because it becomes a genetic information. You guys know about epigenetics? People love to talk about epigenetics when it comes to Black people in slavery. Do y'all genuinely think that we the only ones with epigenetics? Like I said, I'm trying to babysit myself for real. Okay? Because y'all don't know that side of me. And I don't be trying to go over there. But do y'all genuinely believe that we're the only ones with things coded into our DNA based on decisions that were made in the past, that have become habits, that have become ways of living, that have become ways in which we interact with people? Y'all think we're the only ones? Because we're not. And so if that doesn't only apply to race, that also applies to class, that also applies to hierarchy in society. That also applies to how societies were founded. That also applies to the foundations of systems. Right? And so how is it that we have gotten to a point where we have blamed God for people's decisions? Somebody somewhere at some point made a decision about something and decided that that should be the way of being, and we have continued in it. But it's God's fault. Help me understand. Help me. Because as much as I am a God girl, I'm a science girl, I'm a history girl, I love information. And when I be looking at it, I see exactly who to blame. And it ain't the one who made me. It ain't the one who fashioned and stitched me together. The only thing I can blame him for is making us. I was reading Genesis and it said that the Lord felt bad. He felt sorrow when he looked at us. He said, dang, I can't believe I made these things. And I said, you know what? You should have swiped this out right there. You should have took us out with the dinosaurs. You should have taken us out, Lord. When it rained, it should have rained and we should have got swallowed up. And that should have been it. But he didn't. In fact, the whole Bible is a story about God continuously pursuing us in spite of our decision. I'm getting frustrated. That's all it is. And I know I'm on a tangent right now because y'all know I will. But all it is a historical text that is telling you what people did, what they were doing, and a God that was in pursuit of them in spite of their decisions the entire time. All that to say, if you see it in the Bible, it doesn't necessarily mean that God affirmed it. It's there to show you in your wicked heart that cannot be known, that we can never understand the depths of it, to know that the vile things that we would do, the lengths that we would go to appease our own selfish flesh, is there so you can see. People are evil, but there's still this God who is pursuing us at the end of the day. Evil is afoot. It's at hand. What we're seeing now is a quaking of those systems that people built without God. That's it. What we're seeing now is people proclaiming to know him and to believe in him, and they don't. Which leads me to another thing. I don't even know if this episode makes sense, y'all. I hope when I go back and I edit this that it makes some sense. And if not, you will not see it. You just won't see it. So if you're seeing it, maybe it made a little bit of sense to me. And if it don't make sense to you right now, turn it off. I'm sorry. People proclaiming to know a God that they don't. People proclaiming to know a Jesus that they don't. Proximity does not equal a relationship. Just because somebody's in a church, just because somebody say that they are part of something, does not mean that they actually are. People have ignored geography. People have ignored history. People have ignored basic education and basic understanding to create a Jesus that looks like them. To create a tyrant that is in fact not the Lord and Savior that got on the cross and died for your sins. All that to say, woo, I'm getting fired up. As y'all know, I am a Christian. At least a real one. And the more I pursue Christ every single day, the more that I try to look like him, I see how people are missing the mark, me included. Well, one of the things that riles me up are the people who have so much to say as representatives of Christ when they are actually representatives of a agenda, of a political party, of a assignment that is actually not of God. Can we say it ain't him? Your opinion should never outweigh the life of somebody else. Your opinion should never push the agenda of evil. I don't care what your opinion is. I don't care how conservative you are. I don't care how much you say you believe in Jesus. I do not care. I genuinely feel like there are so many people who claim to know Christ who actually don't. And you are taking your time to push people down, build platforms, and create conversation with the same sin that you say that you're against. The truth is, if you say that you are a believer in Christ, you are a citizen of the kingdom of God. And the kingdom says it's all corrupt. All of it. I don't care about what political party you're a part of. I don't. I don't care about you saying it's this and not that. Well, this side sides with, and I'm not saying that you cannot side with something. I'm not saying that. My issue has become us tagging God's name on stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with him. Us tagging God's name on stuff with systems that have absolutely nothing to do with him, and then bashing people because of it. I'm sick of it. And I ain't nobody to pay attention to and be sick of it. I get it. Who cares what I have to say? But I am genuinely irritated and annoyed at the fact that if you held yourself to the standard in which you are holding other people to, you yourself would not reach it. Because you're judging people and building platforms and basing your opinions with the same sin that God hates. Pride is just as sick as everything else. Self-righteousness, just as sick. Your ignorance, your choice to stay ignorant is just as sick. You adding and taking away things from scripture to confirm what it is that you're saying is right because blah, 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 blah. Sin. Vile, sick sin. And we all stand in need of the redeeming, saving power of Jesus Christ, you included. And how dare you misrepresent him for the sake of your own agenda, for the sake of your opinion, for the sake of being right. We've literally gotten to a point where people rather be right than to study for themselves and repent. I don't know how I got here, but I'm angry. I feel like I just, what's the word? I feel like what is the word? I made the entire beginning of the episode irrelevant, inconsistent. Because I am so upset. And it has genuinely been a place of prayer and struggle for me because there is a lot going on. And this is the place of reactivity versus response for me. You don't know how many times I've been online and the choice of words that I had for somebody were not godly. But I'm claiming to speak in representation of him and what it is that he actually wants. Because if I call you a motor scooter, but say this is what God wants, I'd be wrong. So I've literally had to master reactivity versus response. So back to what I was saying. We are spiritual beings living in physical bodies. Pray. Pray for yourself. Pray for the people around you. Pray. I'm telling you, if you believe in Jesus, peace is your portion. It really is. But just as much as peace is your portion, self-control is your portion. Ask God to show you. Ask him to lead you. Ask him to tell you how to deal with this stuff. Ask him how to tend to yourself and ground yourself and figure out what it looks like for you not to be overwhelmed with the things that are happening. Because so much is going on and I just don't want for us. I keep thinking, because once again, like I said, science girly, I keep thinking about how in 30 to 40 years, we're probably going to see a whole bunch of new diseases. something that has to do with being on our phone all the time, something that has to do with being under so much stress. We're gonna see some new stuff, y'all. If we don't learn how to take care of ourselves and get it together, we're gonna see some new stuff for sure. But moving on, learn how to assess what it is that you're feeling inside. Earlier when I said learn what's triggering you, don't only learn what's triggering you, learn why it is triggering you. Because it's triggering you for a reason. And what is it? Is it fear? Is it sadness? Is it disappointment? Right? Because once we understand what it is, we should be able to determine how we move forward from there. Every feeling that we have warrants a different response. There are certain things that, like I said, I can be very vocal about and I can be a huge participant of. There are other things I cannot participate in because what's under the trigger is something that does not warrant a great response. And I think the last thing that I'll say, because I feel like at this point I'm rambling and I have riled myself up, and so now I am upset. But understanding that emotional control is a form of resistance. Emotional control is a form of protest, if you will. Society at large already believes a narrative about you. Do not be the one to prove them right. Be the one to prove them wrong. Emotional stability, being able to tend to yourself and operate in a certain way is a form of resistance. Emotional regulation is a tool. It allows for you to be effective. It allows for you to be the genius you are. It allows for you to be the producer you are. It allows for you to be the advocate you are. It allows for you to be the voice that you have. It allows for you to be able to be strategic. Because what we need right now is strategy. We need to strategize. We need proper response. We don't need reactivity. It's not what we need, y'all. It's not what we need. And we first do that by, once again, tending to ourselves. Making sure our world is healthy first before we tend to the world out there. I'm not saying don't tend to the world out there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you're going to tend to the world out there and you want to be an actual conduit for change, focus here first. Focus on that heart first. Focus on that mind first. Focus on those triggers first. Focus, y'all. Focus. I hope I said something. I really do. And I just wanted to talk because this is genuinely something that I have been dealing with, and maybe I just needed to get it out on myself. Maybe I just need to have a conversation with myself. We'll see if this goes up. We will see, y'all, because I don't know. But I've really just been in my head, just ping pong. So hopefully it resonated. If not, by golly, it is what it is. I love you so much. If you want to follow me on any social media, you can follow at Almost Understood Pod. That is what it is on Instagram and TikTok. If you go there and it looks a little empty, it's because, by golly, I'm about to get to it and I'm about to start actually, being consistent over there, whatever. But if you want to follow me, which is what most of you do, you can follow me at _jordanalexa. That's at _JORDANALEXA. I've got to go pray because I'm riled up. It is what it is. I love you so much. Please come back. I love you. This has been another episode of Almost Understood. Peace.